G'day, Gran here from Australia. Haven't done a video for a while. I've been going through some stuff. Last time when I gave an update about my health, I had a bit of a rash going on, had all sorts of things happening. Well, things got worse, not better. And, at one stage I kind of gave up looking for answers and treatments and so forth. And I thought, geez, it feels like I'm just being eaten alive by fungus. It feels like I'm just decaying everywhere. Everything's just falling apart. And, a lot of the problems I've been having is, I looked it up, I had pretty much all the things that lupus sufferers had. The rash spread all over my face. There's just a few little residual spots left. It's been clearing up. I'm actually on the, been improving the last few days and starting to feel better and a bit more optimistic. I actually happened across some treatments that finally worked and kicked in and made some noticeable improvements where I hadn't seen any for more than 6 months. So, they really... I was looking, first of all, at the trauma aspects, the psychological aspects which were affecting my health, hidden trauma and so forth from childhood, exploring that. I wasn't really getting anywhere much with that. And I thought, well, these days I haven't really got anything to stress about. I've retired, I've got no work, these kids are left, blah, blah. There's not much to stress me out. I'm now, settled into my new home. Everything's quite stable in my life. There's nothing for me personally to worry about too much. I've just got to, take deep breaths and relax and reassure myself that I'm fine and safe and, safe and loved. And, I haven't got many people in my life, really. I've only really got the kids, but, I know that, they don't hate me. They, I know they love me and they show that from time to time. I don't have any intimate friends or intimate contact with anyone, but I don't feel lonely. I'm quite happy on my own. I feel quite balanced. I don't feel needy emotionally or anything like that. I'm in a good place in my life. And so it's kind of been very perplexing for me that I've been going through all this bloody, physical difficulty, illness, whatever you want to call it. All this inflammation and pain and it's one skin bloody problem after another. It's just driving me insane. Why? I'm doing everything right. I don't drink, don't smoke, I do everything right. What the fuck? I've been doing everything right for so long. Anyway, I have no doubt that our lives, what we experience, is a reflection of our inner process, our inner development, our consciousness, if you like, spiritual development, whatever you want to call it. Whatever's going on in here is reflected out there, and it's also expressed in the body. So what have I been going through? Well, I've been going through what I guess, if you want to look at it, it's interesting because it kind of fits in with all this shadow work, right? Because if you look at the shadow work, I was exploring what that meant and all that. And it's interesting because Jung also saw that his psychological explanations for the transformation of the self from, integrating the shadow, becoming whole with the union of opposites and so forth within the self, the unconscious and the conscious. integrating, becoming the whole self. The whole process is reflected in the alchemists, the language of chemistry of the alchemists, who kind of so the old alchemists, you know, they were after their alchemic gold. Sorry, reading my notes here, 'cause I want to get it right. So they're after the alchemic gold, which is reflected as the integrated whole self. That you know, the whole self that with when you integrate the unconscious and the conscious with Jung's process. So what they did, the alchemists is sort of projecting their own unconsciousness and their unconscious processes onto the matter that they're working with. And it's reflected in that process. You know, as I was saying, whatever's in here is happening out there as well, because you're projecting yourself out into the world. So what you see and what you're doing is ultimately a reflection of the processes in here. So, and the Philosopher's Stone is actually the integrated self, you know, that's symbolic of the integrated self. So in the alchemy, you got the process, the three processes. The first process being Nigedro, which is the blackening process. That's putrefaction. It's reflected in the shadow work, Jung's shadow work. This is where you're confronting this is the part in psychologically where you're confronting the shadow, the rejected parts of yourself. It's basically the dissolution of the old ego, or ego death, if you like. It symbolises ego death, who you thought you were. All right, Nigedro, the blackening, the death of that persona. So what's death associated? Death is associated with decomposition. What's involved in decomposition? Well, you've got fungi, all right, that decomposes are fungi, like candida. I've been suffering a lot of candida. And bacteria, of course, are involved in the decomposition process. So what have we got? Infections, all right? So I guess if you're going through the shadow work, the blackening, it would be reflected in your body by suffering infections and, you know, fungal infections, including bowel problems and autoimmune problems, because if it's a death of the ego, it's the attack of the self. The ego is like the self. And autoimmune is like attacking, is your immune system attacking the self. So here we are, like the autoimmune system is attacking the self, and Nigedro, the blackening or the shadow work, is where the ego is dying, the self is dying. Isn't that funny? Like, I guess if you're probably going through this Nigedro process, this shadow work, it's reflected by experiencing all these issues in your life with these health issues and these problems and autoimmune problems and, you know, feeling like you're dying. Of course, you're experiencing an ego death. It's reflected in a kind of physical death in a way. And that's definitely how I've been feeling. I'll tell you why. I felt like I've been dying and decomposing. But yeah, then I did turn a corner recently after I kind of felt like giving up. Which brings us to the next part of the process, which is Albedo, the whitening part. And the alchemist is the purification process. This is the part where you're clearing all the illusions of the old self, and it's the beginning of the integration part. Okay, so the whitening, the purification. So what's that? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're sick and you're producing all these toxins in your body and everything, what happens? Well, your body's got to purify all the toxins out of your body, you know, with your liver and everything. You clear all the debris out, clear all the bad shit that's in your body out, right? All the crap, all the toxins that we've absorbed from the environment, all the toxic thoughts, all the ridiculous psychological crap or poisons, all the physical poisons and toxins, the toxins that have been produced by the bacteria and the fungi, overgrowth in our bowels and so forth. You know, ultimately a lot of it is in our intestines, our health. So, you know, removing a lot of the shit. Yeah, right, intestines to get all the shit out, all right? The bad shit, get the bad shit out, get the good shit in. So a lot of the treatments that I've been doing has been focused on gut health and getting rid of biofilms in the gut, which I had a lot, I think, why I kept getting, nothing seemed to work. And finally, getting rid of the stuff that getting rid of the biofilms is actually working, including radical things like colloidal silver and how would you call the ozonated water. Look it up, ozonated water. It's interesting because they don't like oxygen, of course. Oxygen, life. Yeah, so, diatomaceous earth is another thing that I've been trying that sort of works in a physical, ruptures all these parasites and so forth, and the biofilms in a physical manner. And quite a number of, I won't go into the details, quite a number of supplements that are focused on gut health. And they seem to be working. So getting all the bad shit out, the good shit in, that's all the purification or the albedo process which precedes the integration part, the final step. All right, so you got the blackening, the shadow work, getting sick at the same time, and then you got the whitening, the purification, where your body's got to get rid of all this residue, all this crap that's built up. And the final alchemic step is called Ribedo, all right? The reddening, they call it. So you had black, white and red. That's reflected in, in a lot of religions and not in alchemy and, all this occult stuff. So the reddening, the reddening is the alchemical marriage, that's reflected in religion to the marriage of the Christ and Christ's wedding or whatever they call it. That's the integration of the shadow and the ego, the conscious and the unconscious, the union of opposites. And you can see that people striving to reach that in an artificial way, I think through these alternate religions, which the elite and Hollywood people, high-profile people seem to be involved in with transgenderism. So I think they, the whole idea with transgenderism is to try in an attempt to artificially induce this Ribedo state or the integration, the final alchemic step, their pursuit of becoming God, if you like. The Philosopher's Stone, reaching that state, they think that if they induce that artificially, because we're saying, inside is reflected externally, if they induce a transgender state, they've got the opposites physically, male integrating the female, female integrating male. That's what it looks like, right? But in effect, if you look at it more closely, it's bringing them into a deeper state of denial of who they are, all right? You think about it. Because, say you're a woman and you're pursuing this state of union of opposites through transgenderism. And so you go and embrace transgenderism. So as a woman, you kind of flip then. So as a woman, you're trying to integrate the shadow male aspects of yourself. All right. So when you become transgender, you embrace the male aspects of yourself, but at the expense of the female energy. So basically, all you've done is change sides. So now, instead of a woman who has probably has trouble embracing their female energies, all right, because it has to do with masculine and female energies, and male and female, the opposites. All right, you have trouble. So then, okay, you're probably a woman who's more inclined to embrace the male energies. So become transgender and embrace even more in male energy. And what is that a balanced state? No, because now instead of you've become more unbalanced because you've embraced more of the male energies and you've denied more of your female energies. So all you've done is created a bigger shadow, in my opinion. So I think transgenderism, all it does is just worsen the situation. It just creates a bigger ego, which, it brings you a step back. So the ego's got to go through the Nigedro process, through the dissolution process, the confrontation process. And, all you've done is sidestep it in transgenderism and transhumanism. You simply avoided a difficult problem. Who wants to go through this shit that I've been going through? And a lot of people going through. People don't like being sick and going through all this crap and facing difficult things. Who wants to do that? It's not a very pleasant process at all. Who wants rashes and shit? Who wants fucking inflammation and crap? I mean, but, it's probably necessary. I don't know if you can do without it. I don't know. It's something I found I haven't been able to go without. I've had to go through all this crap. So anyway, so the divine self, the final step, the divine transformed self, is equivalent to the Philosopher's Stone. All right, so, the whole process is reflected in religions and all sorts of things because basically, our unconscious pattern, I think that's maybe why we're here. It's to help us to realise who we really are, come to grips with our whole self. Yes, and no matter who you are, whether you're an elite or down the bottom, all facing the same things. But I think a lot of those people, instead of going through the process, they're in a state of denial, making things worse, making themselves more polarised rather than balanced. Anyway, that's just my opinion. But yeah, so I thought I'd just share that. So personally, going through the blackening and the purification part, I can't say I'm fully integrated, but definitely reach getting through the purification process, and I'm interested if that's going to be reflected in more improved health at this stage. Although, I know I'm 62 and you know, it, I don't know if it gets more difficult or not as you get older. Some things get more difficult, some things get easier. But this is quite a long video for me. But I did want to say all those things, and I don't know when I'm up to, making another video. But I'll leave it at that for now. And yeah, I hope it helps. Perhaps if you're going through the same process yourself. It's not easy, and not many people share the difficulties of their journey like I've been doing. So, yeah, hang in there. Cheers.